right. My plan is to officially start a little bit late because I've also got a live stream going that I just started. I'm just like letting kids join that. But the first thing I think I want to do, other than just like say hello to you, is I want to go around the room. I want to hear your name, and I just want to know your major, and so I can get kind of a read on your interests and your interest in this class. So can we start over here?
My name's Ben. I study game design and entrepreneurship.
Right on. You sir in the back.
My name is also Ben. My major is illustration.
Cool. I didn't know we had illustration here. That's really sick. And you?
My name is Linda. My major is
Mechanical engineering. Thank you.
My name is Mason. I'm marketing major.
Mason, marketing. Thank you.
I'm Matt. I do software engineering.
You look a lot like another Matt who does software engineering that was in the class that I just did an hour ago. That was weird. There's a glitch in the matrix. You sir in the back.
I'm Artem, and I do computer science.
Computer science. Thank you. And you?
I'm Luis. I do electrical engineering.
Luis, electrical engineering. Thank you.
I'm John, and I do mechanical engineering.
John, thank you.
Tyler, I do computer engineering.
Cool. Thank you. Thank you. My name is Neil Grayson. I tend to go by Mr. or Professor Grayson because I come from a high school teaching background, so it's been trained into me not to let them ever touch you or call you by your first name. If you call me Dr. Grayson, I won't correct you, but I'm not a doctor. All right, so how every class is going to go. Is anybody in the live stream? Let's see. No. How every class is going to go. We're going to have some kind of short discussion or lecture, which will be a little bit longer today because there's just a lot more material to cover. Hello. You looking for intro to creative writing?
Yes.
Solid. You are in the right place. Can I ask you your name and your major?
Max O'Malley, and my major is computer science.
Right on. Thank you. I'll get you on the sheet. There will be some kind of discussion or lecture type thing at the beginning, followed by a writing exercise. And then some days we'll discuss that writing exercise and talk about how it went. Other days I'll probably just kick you out the door. And I'll also start every day with a reading. I think I'm going to start with the reading, honestly. What's up? Oh, maybe I should wait for more people to come in. Yo, tell me your name and your major, please.
Ian. Well, packaging.
Packaging?
Yeah.
That's a major?
Yeah.
That's really cool. Thank you.
I'm Graham. I'm a second.
Thank you. You in the red shirt?
I'm Alexander Group here. I'll have you.
Thank you. And you, sir?
Peter Barons, and I'm Peter Barons.
Cool. Thank you. Okay. This looks more like a full class. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. We're getting there. And there's people in the stream. Sick. Okay. It adds up. All right. So for the people who just walked in, most of how class is going to go every day. We're going to start with a reading. We've got 43 class sessions. I've picked 43 of my favorite short pieces. And then we will have some kind of discussion or lecture, and then a writing exercise. And then some days we'll talk about that exercise, and then I'll kick you out the door. There's not a ton of homework in this class. There's a couple of readings, and there's a couple short writing pieces. But most of the time you're going to be doing writing in class with me. So, like I said, I'm going to start most days. I'm going to start pretty much every day with a reading. And this one's for today. This is from a book called The Wild Iris by Louise Glick. She's a badass. She's one of my faves. And this is the first poem from the book. At the end of my suffering, there was a door. Hear me out. That which you call death, I remember. Overhead, noises, branches of the pine shifting. Then nothing. The weak sun flickered over the dry surface. It is terrible to survive as consciousness buried in dark earth. Then it was over. That which you fear, being a soul and unable to speak, ending abruptly, the stiff earth bending a little, and what I took to be birds darting in low shrubs. You who do not remember passage from the other world, I tell you I could speak again. Whatever returns from oblivion returns to find a voice. And from the center of my life came a great fountain, deep blue shadows on dark seawater. I love that poem. I picked this poem because, I read this book like every year. I love this book so much. But I picked this book because I think it is a good place to start. It kind of addresses what I want this class to be for us this semester. This is a weird time, right? And pretty much the only guarantee I have for all of us is that it's going to be weird, and I don't know how it's going to go, right? Like next week, we could go back to online and I'll never see your faces again, right? So the COVID crisis has impelled us all inward into solitude, right? And while this isn't really compatible with a lot of different kinds of learning, I think it works pretty nicely for the work we want to do in here, which is solitary work on the page with ourselves, right? There's a lot of discussion we can have about writing. That's cool. There's a lot of cool activities we can do with each other where we share each other's work. That's cool too. None of that is a substitute for real writing, which is you alone at a notebook writing one decent sentence at a time. So more than anything else, creative writing is an establishment and maintenance of a certain kind of relationship with yourself. At least that's what I believe. And I've built the class, I've totally rebuilt the class around this fact. When I learned that I was coming back to RIT after the spring semester, which was a total shakeup, I spent the whole summer just totally redoing the class with the new parameters in mind. And so I think it worked, and I think it works better, actually. I'm actually really happy with the class because even if you don't consider yourself to be a writer, and even if you think you're not creative, that's fine. I'm not here to like convince you that you're a writer or some shit like that. Like that's not my job, and it sounds like too much work. And I can't force it on you, and being creative isn't really the point. The point is to foster a relationship with your own language so that you may better use it to your advantage. Because whether or not you think you're a writer, you use words every single day. You use words almost every minute, right? You use them when you speak to others. You somehow wrestle meaning out of them as you listen to them, which you're doing right now, which blows my mind all the time. Like, how do people even talk? You push thoughts forward. Have you thought about this before? Like the mechanics of talking? Like, how do I go from thinking to then I'm able to take the thoughts and I'm able to sort of, it blows my mind every time. If I sit here and think about it for too long, I'll become totally paralyzed by just like wonder. And so my point is that you even think in words to yourself. You're a little machine of language all the time, whether you like it or not. And so the idea that I'm not a writer somehow frees you from the obligation of like studying and articulating yourself, like it doesn't really work. And so the human experience, almost inseparable from the use of language. They really go together at this point. We're fully integrated with language. And that's the basic fact from which I'm starting with this class. So I'm here to help you cultivate what I think is the most important skill you could have, is the ability to shut up for a second and listen to yourself and then like see what happens. It's not actually so much about, okay, I got to write something here. It's about listening to yourself. You've already got stuff going on. So it's not so much about forcing yourself to speak as forcing yourself to listen. Truly, I believe this. And luckily, barring like a traumatic concussion, you need not ever be worse at language than you are right now. In fact, this might be the worst iteration of you there ever is. And it's possible that you will never be as bad at listening and communicating as you are right now. And I'm not saying you're bad now. I'm just saying, look at where we can go. And remember, this is day one. Friday, when we get to Friday, that will also be day one. And the next Monday will be day one, and so on, right? It's always day one. We're stuck in the present. We're locked in linear time. I love talking about shit like this. Okay, so that's my like opening spiel, and it basically covers the course description for this class. So I'm not going to read this to you. I also, personally, I find it a little bit insulting to your intelligence to like read this at you, so I won't be doing that. But we'll talk about some of the sections in here. This is also, of course, available on my courses. You can look at it at any time. A note about the times. Mostly what this says here is that like we're responsible for each other. And I think that that's been highlighted more than ever by COVID. And so I can't force you to come into class this semester. Maybe some of your other professors will, and that's their call. But like, I don't feel like morally I can force you to come to class because we're all aware of the risks, right? We're all wearing masks right now. And so I'm going to be live streaming every single class. So if you ever don't want to come because you have a cough or you have to go visit your parents or something, or you just don't feel it that day, right? These are crazy times. If you feel crazy someday, you don't have to come. Watch the live stream instead. You can participate in the writing exercises there, and you can do a little submission thing in my courses that tells me that you were there and you were present, and that will count. Okay. So that's my COVID spiel. And of course, wear the mask. I'm not doing that. Like I've gotten so many emails about like, what if a student refuses to wear the mask? Like, don't refuse to wear the mask. I have no idea what I'll do. I'll probably hit you or something. It'd be crazy. Required materials. All the readings that we do, and there's not a lot of readings, they're going to be on my courses. They're going to be PDFs. You can print them. You don't have to, but you need to read them. There's only like 4 or 5 of them, and we'll kind of integrate them into our discussions. They'll come up again and again over the course of class once we've read them. So it's important that you read them, and they're not super long, and they're all stories. They're not like dry essays or something. Some of them might even be poems. I don't remember off the top of my head. And then a notebook. You need a notebook. You need a notebook every single day. If you don't have a notebook, you don't have a pen, normally I would just tell you to borrow some stuff from a peer, but that's not really viable this semester. So I have brought and sanitized a bunch of notebooks and pens up here. So if you ever need one, I'll bring this stack every day. Does anybody need one now? No shame. Cool, you all got one. Excellent. What comes next? Oh, the grade breakdown. So class attendance, in big air quotes there, and exercises, that's the first 20% of your grade. So that either means coming to class and letting me watch you write down in your notebook on paper, or doing watching the live stream and then reporting back to me with a little assignment in my courses. If you go to assignments in my courses, there's one that says like attendance and writing. I think it says attendance and writing exercises. Just submit to that every day that you don't come physically to class. It'll always be open. There's no due date on it. And then it'll automatically show me the date that you submitted it on. And so I'll be able to figure out pretty easily what class you're referring to. And then the rest of the class is 4 major writing assignments. The first one is prose, and it's an essay. Kind of. It's like an informal essay. You're going to tell me about your favorite album. And I do this because when we're trying to get the juices flowing creatively, it's not a bad idea to start with something that we're already familiar with and that we already really like. So you're going to write to me about your favorite album. You're going to describe what it sounds like. You're going to just do a lyric analysis and talk about the kind of themes you see going on in here, right? And then you're going to talk to me about your connection with it and why you think, out of all the albums in your whole life that you could have picked, why did you end up on this one? You think, why is this one important to you, right? You know, did your dad always listen to it? Does it sound like something your dad always listened to? And so on and so forth. And that's going to be 3 to 5 pages and relatively informal, right? I don't need you to cite your sources or any shit like that. It's not the point. And then the other writing assignments are all collections of poems. You will all write poems in this class. And the reason I start with poems instead of short stories or more essays is because poems are basically language without the rules. They're just unbridled language. And so you don't have to worry about grammar. You don't have to worry about conventions or any shit like that. If you get to the page one day and you're just like, fuck, that's a poem, right? Like it's unrestricted. And I think that's a pretty good place to start. And hopefully, if you're sitting there and you're thinking, oh God, this guy's gonna make me write poems, like, fuck this, like this sucks. Like, give me a chance. I'm pretty sure we'll end up with lots of material for you to work with through all the writing assignments that we have to do in the class. You're going to generate lots of handwritten pages over the course of the semester. And hopefully those will give you some material. What comes after that? Let's see. Course policies. I'll breeze through these pretty quickly here. Attendance, like I said, it's going to be a weird semester. I don't require physical attendance, but I do require, if you don't come to class, go to my courses, do the 1 paragraph thing after you've watched the live stream. You're going to have to watch the whole live stream because you're going to watch me sit and do the writing, and you're going to have to sit with a notebook and do the writing. And it kind of brings me to something I was thinking about last class. I teach this exact class like 5 minutes before this one. It's technically possible for you to cheat your way out of this class. I'm just going to acknowledge that right now. Like if you want to never come and you don't want to do the writing exercises and you want to bullshit your way through a 1 paragraph response, I'm not coming to your dorm and checking on your notebooks, right? In the same way that if you come to class, you could sit there and float your hand over the page and pretend to write for 5 minutes, and I wouldn't know the difference. The only person you've played, though, is yourself. Like, I don't care. I'm still me, and I'm still doing my job up here. So if you want to engage, that's great. And I see that there's potential here. But don't cheat yourself. I don't know. And I'm not going to be asking you to do the hard work we're doing in this class is like, you're going to come up on an unpleasant emotion sometimes as you're writing. And you're like, oh, this is weird. You know, you're going to come up, your editor brain's going to be like, you suck. And you're going to have to deal with that, right? That's the whole point of the class. That's like why, that's like the difficulty I want to encounter in this class. And so hopefully you'll find that the work is rewarding. Tardiness. I pretend to be a real hard ass about tardiness on the syllabus. I understand that we all are coming from different situations. I myself have a class that I teach that ends about 5 minutes before this one in another building, so I might be late sometimes. Just try your best. I don't know. And if you're late chronically, then I'll talk to you, and we'll see if we can figure out something else. If I cancel class for any reason, and there's a good chance that I'll have to do that this semester because the world is weird, I'll do it via an announcement on my courses. So make sure your email notifications are set up so that you get those. Late work. Generally, when it comes to late work, if you don't communicate with me, I stick to the RIT policy, which is that we lower your grade by a letter every day that the assignment is missing. And there's only 4 assignments in this class, so they're big. But the flip side of that is that if you are communicative with me and you tell me like, yo, Grayson, I got the flu, like I'm going to be pretty understanding. That's my general rule, is I'm a hard ass when no one talks to me. And then if you do communicate with me, I'm very communicative, and then we'll figure something out and you'll still do the work because that's what's really important. I don't care about anything else. Plagiarism, don't do it. Super don't do it. If you do it in this class, you'll be plagiarizing poems. And no, there's a bunch I could say about that, but just don't do it. I'll have to like fill out paperwork and I'll have to fail you, and it's a whole rigmarole. Like, don't make me do it. It's just so much more work. And it's also true though that all art is theft. So if you want to like write in the style of this person, or you want to write some stuff with a bunch of references to this other thing, again, talk to me. You will find that I am very interested in whatever you want to talk about. A note on class etiquette. Basically what this says here is that we're learning to articulate ourselves, and that means that inevitably we're going to make mistakes. I will defend everyone's right to make those mistakes within this class. If someone says something that's like tremendously offensive to what you believe, I will also defend your right to respectfully disagree, right? The only time when I might like step in on a debate and like take control is if you say something that like interferes with someone's right to comfortably exist, because that is definitely top priority, right? And it's already hard this year. I think that pretty much covers that. And then the schedule. As you can see on the schedule, it's kind of broken up. It's broken up into weeks based on topic. The first week we're going to spend just like trying to form a relationship with our editor brain. And then we'll dig into personal history because it's pretty much everyone has it. So it's one of the easiest places to start. Then we'll learn some literary devices. And then week 5, this is when we do favorite album write-up. And then there's more subjects that we break down into. And you'll notice at the very end, I have allowed for some flex time. This is because I fully expect at some point that I'll have to cancel class for some reason. I'm just trying to see the future, right? If this ends up not being true, I've got a couple activities in the back pocket, and that'll be totally fine. But last semester was so abruptly shaken up by COVID that I feel it's just smart to leave a couple days open for flexibility. What comes after that? Okay. Oh, a little bit about me, I guess. My name is Neil Grayson. Like I said, you can call me Neil. You can call me Grayson. You can call me Professor. You can call me Doctor, even though I'm not one. I studied English and education at SUNY Potsdam with a minor in linguistics because language totally blows my mind, like I said. And then I spent some time working as a rock climbing instructor at Rock Ventures. Has anybody ever been to Rock Ventures? No? Don't go. It's run by terrible people. And did that for a while, liked it, taught high school at the Norman Howard School here in Henrietta for a while. Liked that well enough and then bailed on those jobs. And in 2015, I went hitchhiking from here to LA and back, and it took about a summer. And we can talk about that because I learned a lot during that time. That was fun. And it just it worked. I became a better person. So that'll come up, sure. Surely. And then after that, I got a pretty sick scholarship from Ohio State to study fiction and teach writing. And so I was there for 3 years before I came back here last year after getting my MFA in fiction. So if any of you in this room harbor the secret dream of becoming a writer, we can talk about that because I got it too. Currently, I've got a book of short stories and essays and stuff that I'm shopping out to editors and agents. It's a terrible process. But if any of you are interested in that process, I can talk about it. I'm also trying to finish the book. And that pretty much lands me, I think that pretty much lands me here. Okay, so I just threw a ton of information at you. Are there any questions right now? Otherwise, we can hop straight into this writing activity. No, sick. So like I said, for me, creative writing doesn't really, as a phrase, doesn't really do it for me. It's a certain kind of relationship with yourself. I see a question. What's up?
You had mentioned, I know that you have the assignments due sort of posted there, but you mentioned something about the poem one day, or is the progress we need to make on those going to be broken up into different due dates, or how?
Is the what? Sorry.
Earlier, you mentioned something about a poem one day, or is the entirety of each of those assignments just going to be due on those specific days, or will their due dates be broken up?
We're going to do them as collections. So 3 different times you will give me 5 poems.
Oh.
And each time there'll be new ones. They won't be revised. They won't be revised poems or anything like that. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay. And that's always going to happen on Sundays so that you have the whole weekend to do it. And then we'll talk about the experience on Monday. Okay. So let's hop to a writing assignment then. Shoot. Get your notebooks out if you don't already. All right. So I'm going to set a timer for 5 minutes. And I'm going to ask you a kind of 3-part question. Excuse me. And the second part, we're going to break into further parts. The first part of this question, though, I just want you to write for 5 minutes in answer to this question. How does it feel to be on campus? And if you're returning to campus, how does it feel to be back on campus? And if you're watching on the live stream, how does it feel to watch me on YouTube, which must be super weird? All right. So 5 minutes. How does it feel to be on campus? About 2.5 minutes left. All right, start wrapping up. Okay. So here's question number 2. And like I said, I'm going to break this into 2 parts. The second question can be broadly asked as, what's on your mind today? All right. Creative writing, like I said, it's all about this relationship with yourself. So what's on your mind today? And we're going to break this into 2 parts. And the first part is specifically, what are the thoughts on your mind? Whether they be objects of your attention that keep coming back, those can be images or ideas that your mind is sort of contracting around. And this can also be literal thoughts that you're having more than once, right? We repeat ourselves a lot. So what's repeating up there today? That's part 1. And then the second part will be about like a predominant mood or feeling tone that colors those things. So we'll get to the second part in a second. But for now, what thoughts are on your mind today? What images and objects and sentences are happening in your head today? And for the record, I'm never going to read your notebook. So don't worry that I'm going to like come over your shoulder and check and make sure you're working. This is just for you. About a minute left. Okay. So you wrote about the thoughts. Now, spend some time thinking about, see if you can detect any dominant mood or feeling tone that has colored these thoughts today, or that your thoughts kind of sit in. It's hard to locate these things geographically, of course. And notice how that thing, that mood or feeling tone, is not your thoughts. It is something else instead, and that they are somehow separate from one another. And so if you get to it, so describe the thing first, but if you get to do it, see if you can notice a relationship between those two things. Does this make sense? I mean, it only kind of makes sense. Go for it. A little under a minute left. Okay, wrap up your sentence. Okay. So we've described the thoughts, we've described the feelings. The next thing, the final part, describe campus today. And I don't mean to describe campus what it feels like. We already talked about what it feels like. Now think about the sights, the sounds, the smells. Try to imagine that you're a floating camera, or try to imagine that the things you saw this morning were the opening shots to a movie, and just describe them for the next 5 minutes. About 2 minutes left. About 30 seconds. Okay, cool. Most days, some days, I can't say most, I don't predict that. We'll talk a bit about the writing exercise and how it went. And if anything surprised you or was especially hard that you think might benefit you to talk about or that other people might want to hear. We don't have to do that today. I threw a bunch of data at you already. And so my only question for you is, do you have any questions for me right now? After going over the syllabus and the shape of the class and stuff like that. Yes, sir.
When it comes to those replies we're supposed to do on courses, if we aren't here, would those just be saying something similar to what we replied to you about the writing assignment? Not as in it would be the writing assignment itself, but more so talking about how the writing assignment went.
I think you're on the right track. Yeah, the writing assignment in the notebooks is different, and you will do. And like I said, I never want to read your notebooks. I want you to know that you're the only one talking to yourself. So if you come in one day and you have a horrible day and you just write obscenities for 5 pages, like that's fine. So in answer to your question, yes, since the notebook is separate, all you will have to do, it's a little bit extra, or it kind of guarantees that you will interact with me if you don't come to class, but you will write about 1 paragraph, a longish paragraph about the experience of writing the thing. So you might actually, depending on how much you prefer to talk in class, if you don't come to class, you might engage with me more. I don't know. It kind of depends on your style. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Solid. Are there any more questions right now? No? Sick? All right. That's it for today, and I will see you guys on Friday.